Hello dear friends, let's talk about problems of Citroen C3. Second generation Citroen, the C3 includes many elements and engines of the previous generation Citroen C3, reducing the number and severity of failures. However, it's not all pink, at least until the end of 2010. Later is much better. In any case, the problems are not repeated frequently, but rather sporadic. Engine. The Citroen C3 1.4 gasoline engine causes the cylinder head gasket to fail, causing the coolant to blend with the oil. Keep an eye on the white smoke from the exhaust and the oil in the coolant pan. It can happen already after 30,000 kilometers. For diesel fuel leaks around the injector bay, the smell of diesel can be felt. It is usually necessary to reach the nozzles. Quick wear of the rear shock absorbers. Some vehicles with gasoline engines have a crack in the coolant tank. In operation, air conditioning for vehicles manufactured by early 2011 due to inadequate compressor mounts creates an unpleasant sound but no talk of damage. Diesel owners are facing problems with the DPF filter and floating flywheel. Pay attention to loss of power, smoke or noise, and shaking when moving and accelerating. Rare cases of bump burns prematurely in petrol engines 1.473. Sometimes noise from the drive belt HDI 1.4, often due to the tension of the same belt. Check and adjust drive belt. Idle, hesitation, interruption. Defective crankshaft position CKP sockets. Check the date of manufacture at the CKP. If the date code is 3156 or greater, the CKP encoder is correct. Replace if necessary. Engine coolant temperature indicator illuminates. Cracked ECT sensor housing, defective ECT sensor installed. Access the ECM error memory and clear the error codes. Check the condition of the coolant temperature sensor ECT. Replace if necessary. Check that the coolant temperature ECT sensor type is correct. Replace if necessary. Incorrect sound from the gear belt space. Water entering the gear belt covers causes corrosion. Replace the timing belt with the tensioner pulley. Petrol 1.4 8V. Faulty idling, loss of power, improper ignition, engine running on 3 cylinders. Water entry into the electrical installation of the injector from the windshield washer's nozzles. Access the ECM error memory and clear the error codes. Install the modified windshield washer nozzles. Diesel 1.4 HDI does not start. Error code stored in engine computer error memory ECM P1197. Fuel check valve blocked in open position. Air inlet to fuel injector return pipe seals. Install a new fuel non-return valve. Check the fuel injectors for possible errors. Replace the fuel injector return pipe seals if necessary. Diesel 1.4 HDI starting error. The smell of diesel from the engine compartment. The fuel supply line is tied to the air filter and/or the intake manifold. Install a modified shielded fuel supply line. Attach the fuel supply line as needed. Diesel 1.6 HDI. Loss of power, engine failure indicator, MIL illuminates. Rattle from the turbocharger. Too much exhaust. Internal turbocharger, TS fault. Inspect the engine for internal damage. Repair as needed. Install a new turbocharger. All TRW brake models, loss of brake efficiency, uneven braking, accelerated disc wear. Poor quality of front brake lining. Installation of modified front brake linings. All models with electric servo device EPS from 12 April 2007, heavy duty electric power steering EPS, faulty electric power steering EPS torque, poor connection between electric power steering EPS, control module and multi-connector. The multi-connectors of the assembly must be installed correctly. If the multi-connectors are installed correctly, replace the electric power steering rail EPS. All models except 8HY, DV4TED4 engine, loss of drive, gears cannot be selected. Broken gear selector mounting bolt. Apply a thin layer of lubricant to the new gear selector fixing bolt. Install a new fixing screw to the gear selector bracket. Diesels 1.4 HDI. Sound of metal pounding from the front right side of the vehicle when starting or stopping the vehicle or when starting. The air conditioning AC pipe hits the chassis. Place an insert between the air conditioning pipe and the chassis. Electronics. For 1.1 and 1.4 petrol engines, the engine failure indicator light is inexplicably lit. The problem is solved by reprogramming the motor electronics. Often a very inaccurate representation of the amount of fuel in the tank can improve the reprogramming of electronics. For vehicles with automatic robotic gearbox occur with inadequate gear shifting, a faulty control program is often to blame. Phone connectivity issues over Bluetooth, common problems and improper parking sensor operation. ABS control indicator illuminates. Wheel speed sensor encoder and ABS contaminated with corrosion and dirt. Check the error codes and delete if necessary. Thoroughly clean the ABS wheel encoder and encoder. All diesels. Does not start, battery low. Water enters the fuse box / relay plate in the engine compartment. Electrical installations are rubbed against the chassis. Place the waterproof cover on the fuse box / relay plate in the engine compartment and the spongy protection between the electrical installations and the chassis. All diesel. Engine coolant temperature control indicator illuminates, but the engine temperature gauge reads normal. Switching on the air conditioner affects the operation of the engine coolant temperature control lamp. Faulty engine coolant fan motor relays. Replace all 3 relays.